Marianne is the FEMA regional administrator for the area. Marianne, we'll get to Scott in a minute. Thanks for calling in. Marianne, you're the FEMA regional administrator for this area. Thanks for being with us today. You wanted to give us an update on FEMA in your general area. Can you share that with our audience, please?
Yeah, well, first, thank you for having me on. I'm happy to be here today to talk to you and your listeners about how they can get ready for hurricane season. As you know, we are about to enter the height of hurricane season for the Mid-Atlantic, and Virginia is especially at risk for the threat of hurricanes. So there's four things that I'm really hoping that we can maybe talk a little bit about for the next few minutes. The first one is helping people understand that they have to have a plan to be ready for a hurricane. They have to have a kit and supplies on hand so that they can weather the storm, or if they have to evacuate, they can take needed supplies with them. They need to be informed about the risk in their area both before a storm and then if a storm is approaching, and they have to heed the warnings of local and state officials should they be impacted by a storm. And then lastly, really want to encourage people to think about purchasing flood insurance, not just if you're on the coast, but inland as well.
So tell me about what are some things that people in the Mid-Atlantic in your region, especially in some of the southeast Mid-Atlantic region, up the Carolina coast, up through Virginia Beach and through the tunnels area, the peninsula, up through D.C. What is the main thing that people should be concerned about as we go into this hurricane season, Marianne?
That's a great question. So there's two main hazards associated with the hurricane that all of the areas you just described are especially at risk for. The first one is storm surge. That's the wall of water that comes on shore as a hurricane makes landfall. And the second one is the wind from a storm. So in terms of storm surge and the associated flooding, people need to evacuate. If you're in an evacuation zone and you are asked to evacuate, job one for you at that point is to get ready to move and to evacuate to higher ground. And in Virginia, you can learn if you're in an evacuation zone by going to knowyourzoneva.org, which is a great website. You can put your address in. It'll show you if you're in an evacuation zone. And if you're not on the coast, it's also important to be ready to evacuate should inland flooding occur from the torrential rainfall that's associated with hurricanes.
You know, I'm glad that you came on today because these things, they come up so fast, and many people, all they know is, okay, I have to buy toilet paper and water, but there's a lot bigger issue here, especially when you're looking at evacuations. And if you're anywhere right now, Marianne, and you live anywhere in the Outer Banks, basically up to Washington, D.C., just trying to get home on a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon, going that way, going from, bottom of the Outer Banks up to Northern Virginia, you're sitting in hours and hours of traffic, and that's just getting home on a normal weekend. Could you imagine trying to get out of there if there was an evacuation?
I'm really glad that you brought that up because that's something that we often get asked about, and it's a good opportunity to talk about it here today. So there are plans in place to help facilitate movement of people in an evacuation, and one of the important parts of that plan is a phased evacuation, and that's why knowing your evacuation zone is really important because we want the most at-risk people to evacuate first, and that's why if state and local officials call for an evacuation, they'll call for it by zone. So you might remember last year, Governor Northam actually issued an evacuation order for the coast of Virginia, the first time that's ever happened, for Zone A. And so those are the most at-risk people, and they were asked to move first. And if a storm were to be larger, you would see additional zones being called. That's why it's so important that people evacuate when they're asked to, because you are a part of a chain of people that may have to evacuate further inland.
So is there an app? Is there a way for people to know, who's A, who's B, what to take, other than just watching television, which your TV could go out. If you got direct TV like me, every time it rains, it goes out, or wind blows, it goes out. I'm not sure that I would renew it, but that's a second issue other than the NFL football. But so what is there a way for people to know, am I A, B, C? Where do I go? Marianne Tierney, what's the best way for them to get information?
Yes, there is a way. And so to know what zone you're in, you can go to knowyourzoneva.org, and there's an app in the website where you can type in your address and you can see whether or not you're in an evacuation zone. You can also check for family members. If you have an older parent or somebody that you're concerned about, you can check their address as well and know if they're in a zone. That way you can help your family be ready as a whole. And then if you want to learn how to prepare generally, you can go to ready.gov, which is FEMA's website, and you can also download the FEMA app from the app stores.
All right, you want to download the FEMA app. That's probably the best thing to do. Marianne, I know you've got a lot of things on your plate today, and you had a short period of time with us. I want to thank you for your time and giving us that update. Marianne Tierney, she's the regional administrator for FEMA for this area. Marianne, thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks so much. You have a great day.